Today, it's time for the news. Don't go anywhere. What is up, YouTube and all my fish keeping friends? How's it going out there in fish tank land? Today, it's time for the new and improved aquarium fish keeping news, otherwise known as the hashtag FishFamNews. I stopped doing it for a little while, kind of trying to tighten it up, make it a little bit more interesting for you guys. So it's going to change a little bit as we go every week, a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and start out with a few spotlights of the hashtag FishFam community here on YouTube's platform. And then I'm going to share with you some interesting products I've found recently on the internet, as well as some world fish keeping and aquarium news. First up in the news, we have Jadrin's Aquatics. Jadrin's Aquatics has Jason over there, Jadrin's Aquatics, has been putting out the word that he's trying to put together the calendar for 2018. So he's looking for people's pictures and art to add to the calendar. So if you're interested in making one of those months, he's going to do 4 pieces of art or 4 pieces of photography for every month in that calendar. So he's looking for people. So if you're interested in being in that calendar, go ahead and check him out on his YouTube channel. Give him a shout out and let him know that you want to get in there. It's going to be coming out soon after the aquatic experience, as far as I know, but I definitely look forward to getting one of these calendars myself. Next up in the news, we have Greg Jones. He's the founder of the Aquarium Box, as most of you might know. He is giving us a little bit of a tour of his outdoor greenhouse fish room and sharing with us one of his newest little tips and tricks. He took some chimney flues and cut them down into smaller pieces and ground them off on the edges and cleaned them up to use them as placo caves or fish hides. So he went ahead went through the process with us, and of course he gave us a nice little tour of his filtration system inside of his greenhouse, showed all his little grow out tubs, and then took us along with him in his journey of grinding down these chimney flues and preparing them, making them safe for fish. These would be awesome for some larger placos or even goldfish or something like that. So check out that video if you're interested in creating your own homemade DIY fish hides or placo caves. Over the last couple of weeks, Prime Time Aquatics has shared with us a full fish room tour. It took 2 videos to do this fish room tour. In part 1, he went through one whole side of his fish room in his basement. He went over each tank one by one. He's got some pretty monster fish in there, a lot bigger fish than I thought that he actually had. He definitely has a lot of really nice fish, a nice selection of cichlids and other larger, more aggressive fish. He's got a huge selection of tanks, and luckily he has his 2 sons to help him with the water changes, because I'm sure this is a lot of work. And the fish nerd is back. He's been putting out a lot of videos lately. He got lucky. He got another tank. He had no place for it in his fish room, and he snuck it into the living room and put it in the corner. It was a corner tank. And luckily, he got away with it with the wife, and she's okay with it. But he shows us the whole process of how he finagled this whole thing and got her to be okay with it. He had to go ahead and refinish all of the tank's bases there, sanded down to make it wood color so that she would be happy with it. Now she's so happy with it, he's got to go ahead and sand down and refinish the other fish tank so that they match. So you got to do what you got to do sometimes to keep the tanks in the house, you know? Dexters World put out a really cool video on culturing mosquito larvae. He does a lot of really awesome fish breeding. I think a lot more than people think. If you haven't checked out Dexters World, he's got a super awesome channel. He breeds goldfish, koi fish. He grows out all of his own live foods, and mosquito larvae is one of his more favorite just one of his more favorite live foods to feed his fish. But he shows us how to create a kind of breeding chamber out of a garbage can with a top on it and a 3-inch hole or whatnot cut into the side. and he just shows you how he sets the whole thing up out in the woods, and within a week or two he's got thousands and thousands of mosquito larvae. So if you live in a place where you can do something like this, very high protein, mosquito larvae are a really nice supplement to your fish's diet. So check out this video if you're interested in creating your own breeding chamber for mosquito larvae. Rob over there at Flip Aquatics takes us with him on a fish room tour, or I might want to call it a fish house tour. This gentleman named Steve, I don't have a last name for him, but this gentleman, Steve, let Rob into his house, and he did a full tour of all of his fish tanks. He didn't actually have just a fish room. He had tanks all over his house. It's pretty crazy. MTS can really get to you. So he walked us through the whole house and showed us all of his different aquariums. He's got some really unique fish and some different Placoscomus and Cistrus and whatnot, and lots of really nice planted tanks. So I checked this one out. Definitely had me a little envious, because I'm kind of at the end of how many fish tanks I can have right now. I need a bigger house at this point. The one and only Michael of Michael's Fish Room, hashtag Guppy Nation, put out a video this last week giving us a full fish room tour. He walked us through pretty much all of his tanks in his fish room, showed us all the different guppies that he's breeding in his grow out tanks, and went over a little bit of food that he's feeding his guppies lately. He's got some really remarkable fish, some really nice guppies. I definitely like to get some from him, and I really look forward to meeting him in New Jersey at the Aquatic Experience. He will be there, as well as many of the other YouTubers that I've been speaking about in the news today. One of my favorite videos this last couple of weeks was from Steve Poland's Aquatics. He took us along with him on a tour of a fish tank manufacturer. It's a custom, it's custom aquariums, and they do all kinds of custom aquariums, terrariums, and things like that. Lots of glass works. So he takes us along and gives us a little tour of the facility and shows us step by step the process of preparing the glass, cutting the glass, sanding the edges, and treating the glass, cutting holes, everything. This facility has pretty much every tool you can imagine, and these machines are just crazy. It is really amazing to see how these computerized machines can go through and just cut this glass up into whatever size piece of glass that you want, and utilize a full sheet of glass to the best of its ability. It's really cool to see this whole process. They really take you through every step from like drilling the holes. You not having to do it at home. These custom aquariums, they'll go ahead and prepare this tank exactly how you want it. They clean the glass. They actually treat the glass with chemicals and clean it to make sure that there's no impurities on it. They'll go through and make sure there's no air bubbles in any of the seals. They use aluminum frames rather than any kind of plastic frames, which definitely makes the structural integrity of these tanks a lot stronger. I like the use of the black silicone. I totally love tanks with black silicone. They do that with a lot of their aquariums. But it's just a really cool video if you've never seen the full step-by-step process of building some pretty monster custom aquariums. Now I want to share with you some really cool new products in the fish keeping world that I have found recently on the internet. First off, ZoomEd is making a large Pallidarium platform. The legs are somewhat adjustable to fit different pumps and filtration systems, but this platform is designed to create a substrate area within an aquarium or some kind of a Pallidarium. This could totally be useful for a lot of people. I built mine from scratch, totally did a DIY thing on my Pallidarium. But I could see where many people could have a use for this, especially if you have turtles or something like that. As far as I know, this product just came out last month or two, at least this new larger platform that they have. So check that out if you're interested in one of those. Next up, we have Marineland is creating a new hidden LED light strip. This light strip is a little bit smaller than some of their other LED light strips, but it's designed to hang within the frame at the top of the tank. It's totally kind of inconspicuous. It looks like it has just blue, white LEDs and some blue LEDs. But it's definitely useful in certain situations, even things like Pallid or terrarium or things like that, or maybe even just as a little extra accent lighting, or maybe like some moon lighting within an aquarium when the main lights go off. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I personally don't have a use for one of those. It would definitely be really interesting to try out one of these and just see how it works out as like a moonlight or something like that. This is something pretty cool that I just found the other day on the internet. This is an Indiegogo campaign for a product called, or a company called Blue Narrow. It's the world's most advanced smart aquarium. This thing has an automatic feeder, HD camera built in with Cree LEDs. It's got a smart app link so that you can check up on the tank and look at all the different stats. It is designed to work for both saltwater and freshwater environments. Now I'm looking at the different options that they have. They have a 8-gallon aquarium, their mini version, for $199. They have a 16-gallon, which is their premium version, for $399. They also have a 26-gallon for $599, and then they have a 36-gallon aquarium called their XXL Premium for $750. Now, pretty crazy because they got about 2 days left on their campaign, and they are already at 137% of their goal. So this is going to happen. So you got about 2 days left if you're interested in purchasing one of these, if you're really into it. I personally don't need something like this, but right now they've got 87 backers on this campaign, so it looks like it's totally going to go through, and this product will eventually be available. It looks like estimated delivery is September 19th, or September of 2019, so you'll probably get it within the next year. But it's definitely an interesting idea, but I'm sure this is just kind of one of the first of its kind, and there will be a lot more products like this to come, I'm sure, in the future. And maybe we'll see something like this at the Aquatic Experience. I look forward to seeing if there's any kind of smart fish tanks at the Aquatic Experience. Now I want to go ahead and share with you guys a little bit of world news that I found over the World Wide Web. I got some crazy stuff in here. Check it out. Here's something pretty interesting that I found recently on the internet. The St. Louis Union Station is putting in an aquarium. It's going to be the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. They look forward to having it finished in the fall of 2019. Looks like a pretty cool facility. It's about 125,000 square feet. It's going to be where the old mall was within the Union Station. They are putting about $45 million into this aquarium, and it's going to have lots of different biotopes. It looks pretty intense. They're really going all the way with this, and I look forward to checking it out myself if I happen to be in that area, in the next year or two. And if you happen to live in that area, lucky you, because it looks like this is going to be one of the nicest aquariums in the United States. So we'll keep an eye on this and see how things go and how it progresses. We'll see if I make my way over there eventually one day. Here's something pretty interesting that just showed up on the internet. Dan of Dan's Fish went ahead and put together a website of his own called getgills.com. This is more of like a community store, a community website where you can create your own storefronts and sell your own products within this website. He's got his own store, but there's all kinds of stores here already, and it's only about 2 weeks old. You have Jesse from HC Aqua selling his guppies and stuff like that. There's AC Aquatics, lots of really cool products available. Bentley Pascal's got a storefront here as well, and I definitely look forward to setting up one myself eventually with all of my dried botanicals, hardscape, and driftwood and whatnot that I've been curating and collecting over the last year or so. So I'd say check this website out. If you do have stuff for sale, go ahead and start your own store here on getgills.com. It looks like it's going to grow pretty quick, and there's already a nice little chunk of stores here for being 2 weeks old. So definitely check it out, getgills.com. Here's something pretty crazy that I found on the internet last week. This comes out of the UK. A woman was really upset with her boyfriend and decided to pour like a gallon of bleach into his aquarium. She filmed and took pictures of the whole thing. At one point, she even was quoted in one of her videos saying die, 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 and she she killed a whole tank of his fish, filmed the whole thing and sent it to him on WhatsApp. So there's a lot of really crazy pictures within the article showing the whole process that she went through, and she just took a lot of pictures. There's a lot of evidence of the situation. Looks like she was upset with the man, the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. I guess he had cheated on her, or she claims that she was paying for the fish tanks and paying for his hobby, and she was tired of it. And I guess she found out that he was cheating on her, so she went ahead and poured a gallon of bleach into his aquarium. She was taken to court, and she was given about 3 weeks of community service. And the courts there in the UK banned her from ever keeping fish for the rest of her life in the UK. But you know, probably the saddest thing about this is that the fish paid the price and that they had nothing to do with this whole situation. But pretty crazy stuff, and I'm glad that she was convicted of a crime and that she was punished one way or the other. There's a couple of new species of fish that were found recently, according to the Smithsonian.com website. The first one here is this crazy translucent gelatinous fish that I think lives at like 25,000 feet below the surface. This fish only has like 2 or 3 bones in its body that are located in its ear to use for finding its way through the water, through the dark, and for hearing somewhat. It is part of the snail fish family. The craziest thing about this fish is that once it reaches the surface, it would melt rapidly. It couldn't take the pressure change or the heat change, and the whole fish would just die and melt and just dissolve at the surface of the water. But it's definitely a new undescribed species, and a very interesting one at that. Another really interesting species that was just recently found off of the ocean's twilight zone is found at about 300 to 500 feet below the surface, and it's a very, very vibrant fish. It was the first of its genus to be found in this area. The rest of the species are found in the Pacific Ocean. This species was found about 600 miles off the coast of Brazil on the Atlantic Ocean, and they named it after Aphrodite. So it's really interesting too. There's another fish within its genus named after Obama. So this fish was named the Tassonoides Aphrodite, and the other one is Tassonoides Obama, and that one is found on the Pacific side. But really, really interesting, dazzling colors, pink and yellow. It is really awesome that we're still finding so many unnamed and undescribed species in such deep waters. And now this is something pretty cool that I found for all you gamers out there. This is an epic tycoon game called Aquarium that just came out in the last couple of weeks. It was released actually on September 13th, 2018. It gives you the opportunity to develop, create, and manage your own Aquarium. All kinds of different options of filtration systems, tanks, all kinds of fish available, and you have to manage your own staff and go through all the stats and analytics of the guests that come into your aquarium. Really, really cool game. You could go on for months and months building up your aquarium and building up a collection of fish. So I definitely say check this out if you have time to play games, but I personally just don't have time for this. It's in the price of it here is looking at about $24.99 for the game. But I could see spending hours and hours messing around with this if I only had that kind of time. Well, that's pretty much it for the news. I just want to share with you a couple of interesting things that I found, a little bit more than just the hashtag FishFam community here on YouTube's platform. I want to give you a little taste of some world news and some other products coming out. I'm definitely going to be evolving this aquarium fish keeping news in the hashtag FishFam news. I want to build it up into something a little bit more interesting. If there's something that you'd like to see here on the aquarium fish keeping news, please let me know in the comments below. I'm totally up for ideas and your opinions. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this content. If you're not subscribed to this content, you like it and you want to see more of it, please go ahead and click on that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit that bell icon for all notifications. And remember guys, keep your tanks clean, your fish fed, and have fun.